This is the first part of the stroke drills. We're going to talk about three things today. We're going to talk about how to hold the paddle actually, paddler's box, and the bow wave. First thing on the how to hold the paddle. Most people put the paddle on top of their head. Some people trend about 90 degrees with their elbows. I like to trend a little bit inward. Secondly, and probably the most important thing, is how you actually hold the paddle. If you see people's elbows kicking up as they take the strokes, you can tell that they're actually holding onto the paddle really tightly. So what you want to actually do is hold on with your index finger and thumb, and then just add these three fingers for support. That does two things for you. First off, if you clench really hard, notice that this muscle strains a lot, and you can get tendonitis in your elbow. And more than importantly than that, if you relax those fingers off the paddle, you can actually extend your stroke. So notice where the catch of the stroke is right here if I hold on to it tight. And notice on a forward stroke, if I relax those fingers, how much farther forward that paddle gets. So relaxing your hands, top hand and bottom hand, as you take strokes, it's very important to get a lot of extension in your strokes and a paddle dexterity. So two things. Don't get tendonitis in your elbows or your wrist, and secondly, you get more extension. Next thing is the paddler's box. Paddler's box is play like there's a big cube in front of me. Which is easier, picking up the box like this and setting it down like this, or picking it up like this and setting it down like that? If you can tell the difference, the shoulder went back much more on the second one. And the rule here is to always keep your hands in front of your shoulders. As soon as you start getting your hands back behind your shoulders, you're going to have a problem with shoulders dislocations and stuff. And if anybody ever teaches you to skull back here like that, they're full of crap, because I saw two people actually dislocate their shoulders. So really important to keep those hands in front of those shoulders, and you'll learn later on that rotation is the big part of stroking. So this has to do with rotation, so keeping your hands in front of your shoulders. And the third thing is the bow wave. This is really important in all of paddling, polo, slalom, river running. Play like our boat is standing still, like it is now. We're not pushing any water in front of our boat, right? But as soon as we start moving forward, we start creating, start pushing water in front of the boat and start creating this thing called the bow wave, or sometimes I refer to it as the bow hump. And if you remember back when you started learning how to paddle, the boat, you were trying to go in a straight line, and the boat would fall off to one side and start turning into a big turn. So, and you didn't learn how to push that boat across the bow wave. If you ever been in a motorboat before, and if you were going really slowly, didn't the motorboat go point up to the sky? And then eventually that motorboat has enough strength or enough power to start skipping across the water. You think we have that much strength in our arms? No. We're always pushing a bow wave. We're always climbing out the bow wave. And then in polo, you might notice that sometimes the bow will go under it when you're moving slowly, but as you start going fast and start going from leaning back and going forward, you actually can't get that bow under, and that's because of that bow wave is creating, you're trying to climb up that bow wave, because as you go faster and faster and faster, this bow wave gets bigger. And you're going to hear me talk about the bow wave in all kinds of stroke drills and stuff. So three things. How to hold the paddle lightly with your index finger and thumb. That doesn't mean to go to a tea party. That means to relax those other three fingers onto the paddle. That helps for wrist and tendonitis in your elbows and wrist. And more importantly, it gets you more extension in your strokes and more paddle dexterity. Paddler's box. We always want to keep our hands in front of our shoulders. And then thirdly, the bow wave. You go forward, you create this big bow wave or bow hump in front of you, and we'll learn more about that later on. Okay, stop that.